Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Do you think local insurance industry is prepared to deal with natural disasters like earthquakes? Do people cover for things like this?
Leanne, it's such a fascinating topic. I mean, we've just heard about this big earthquake that hit America last night, California. So, you know, it's an interesting question because humans tend to forget, traumatic events quite quickly. And in South Africa, we've had a number of events. So recently, we've had the Joburg tremors, and then at the 60s, we had the big earthquake in Tulbagh. Are we ready? I think as an industry, definitely, I believe we are ready. South Africa's got a very vibrant and strong insurance industry. So for those people who have insurance, we definitely have the adequate protection in place to cover a big event. I think the question that you have to ask, though, is what about uninsured people? What we saw with the earthquake tremors in Joburg recently, many people who were affected actually had no insurance cover. So, how do you deal with that? And a further question is, even if you have insurance cover, not all insurance policies are created equal. So, for instance, you don't automatically have hail cover, which you would think you would have, and the same would go with earthquake. So you have to check your policy to make sure that you actually have the right cover in place.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I would imagine, especially when you live in a sort of a high risk area, that is a cover that you take. But when one sort of thinks of Johannesburg, or you think of areas here in South Africa, which we not necessarily high risk earthquake areas that previously you would never have ever thought that. I would have to go back into my policy and have a look. I don't even know if I've taken out earthquake disaster, and if you haven't, then you're not covered, obviously.
Well, most policies cover you automatically, so you don't even have to ask for the cover, but it's very good to check with your broker whether the cover is in place. And we've had some big events in South Africa. Cape Town, the Milnerton racecourse, for instance, is built into where the epicenter was of an earthquake that hit us in the 1820s, which was quite a severe earthquake. So because it hasn't happened in recent memory, we think we're protected. We are protected from large national disasters, that's a fact. Yeah. But it doesn't say that that this won't happen again.
Yeah, so it's something you really should look at. What about something, and it's a big debate, insurance companies covering something that could be considered an act of God? Do you cover something like that? And what would that fall into? What category would that fall into?
Well, insurance is there to cover you against any major risk. An act of God would be a hailstorm. That's normally covered. It's just the problem that we have with insurance, in particular personal insurance, which covers your personal assets, is that it's so difficult for consumers to understand what are they covered for and what are they not covered for. So, as a general rule of thumb, if you pay less, you would normally have less cover. That's just how it works. And that's why I believe it's good to have a broker, because a broker can give you good advice. And you don't know, it's not to say that you will pay more for your insurance cover because you have a broker. You must shop around. And when you compare the different policies, make sure that you compare apples with apples. So don't just look at your bottom line premium. Look at the actual cover. Look at the excesses. Completely out of earthquake now, but if you've got motor insurance, if there are driver restrictions, normally if less people can drive the car, your premium would be less. And unfortunately, you only find out something is wrong with your insurance policy after you've had a traumatic event. Then it's too late to try and fix things after the fact. So be proactive, check your policy, read it. It's a pain, but read it.
Yes.
And ask for advice.
And how often should you review it? At least
definitely
annually.
Once a year. Yeah, people don't even read their policies when they get it the first time. So, then to blame the insurance company afterwards, it's really not the best approach to take.
All right. Thank you for the advice, Christelle Fourie, who's the Managing Director of MUA Insurance Acceptances, talking to us about, lately we've been finding ourselves having hailstorms, floods, even these earthquakes. Are we covered for them? Have you read your insurance policy? Perhaps it's a good day to do that. I really do think this could be the time. Let's take a break.